Hi everyone, this is a pick a card reading for Mercury Retrograde 2020 messages for you. So you may or may not know, but we do have a Mercury Retrograde around about every sort of 3 months. So it does come around pretty often, let's just say that, and that is because the planet is pretty close to Earth. So, you know, retrogrades, for example, like a Saturn retrograde, Jupiter retrograde, or a Neptune retrograde, because the planets are much further away from Earth, what happens is it takes more time for us to sort of get one, I guess, and then they last for an even longer amount of time, but the energies of those retrogrades are much more consistent rather than, you know, they just kind of take the punch, or no, well, we take the punch of the energy. So it's a lot more sort of consistent, and it's not as sort of intense as, for example, Mercury retrograde, because what happens with the Mercury retrograde is the energy is so potent. So it comes around, right, pretty often. It stays for around about a month, and then we do have shadow periods as well. So 2 weeks before the retrograde and 2 weeks after the retrograde, we have a shadow period in which we can feel the energies of the retrograde. But what happens is the energies are so intense during just that short amount of time, whilst with the other retrogrades, where the planets are further away, the energies are felt sort of more over time rather than all at once, if that makes sense. So for those of you that are maybe new to retrogrades, hopefully that sort of helps you to understand. Now you might be thinking, Moonlight Guidance, what the hell is what is a retrograde? So again, for those of you that perhaps are not so sure, retrograde is when a planet is moving in a backspin, and essentially it's moving backwards. So that's what it means. And you know, for example, Mercury is the ruler of communication. So when it's in a backspin, it can cause chaos in communication, you know, with others, within ourselves, you know, and even within travel and technology as well. So I just thought I would sort of mention that to you guys. Now, I just noticed as well, I didn't put any crystals on top of these cards, which is obviously a really great start by me. So I'm actually going to put crystals on top. We're going to do this live because, hey, why not, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually choose 3 different colours. So I am going to place a pink one right in the centre of the Golden Universal Tarot deck. I'm going to place this green one on top of the Golden Art Nouveau tarot deck, and then I'm going to place a blue one on top of the After tarot deck. Ta-da! We did this real time, or well, technically I'm recording it, but I'm not going to edit this video because I want you guys to like see the full extent of everything. So these are the groups. I also want to mention as well that I do have my Mercury Retrograde bracelet on my Etsy store if any of you are interested in purchasing it. So it's an adjustable tie bracelet. As you can see, it has really cute little beads as well, completely handmade by none other than me. So if you are interested in purchasing these, they are very affordable. They're also meditated with, and they are saged as well. International shipping. And if you want to see results if you want to see the reviews and see how other people have seen results with my items, definitely do check out the review section on my Etsy shop. Link to my Etsy shop will be in the description box below. Also, if you'd like to win a free reading with me, do check out the description box below for more information. And also, if you'd like to purchase a private paid reading with me as well, information will be in the description box below as well. They're done within 24 to 48 hours. So what we have here is group 1, group 2 and group 3. This is going to be a pick a card reading for Mercury retrograde messages for you in 2020. So any Mercury retrograde we have in 2020, this should really give you information on how to deal with a Mercury retrograde this year. So let's see what's coming through. We're going to start first and foremost with group number 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move these other 2 groups very nicely out of the way. Kindly out of the way, should I say. I'm just going to move this like so. Alright, so I am going to write down the timestamps as well. And the timestamps also for everything is going to be down below. Alright, so group number 1. Let's have a look and see what Mercury retrograde messages I can give you for 2020. I'm going to put the crystal down here. Alright, so let's have a look. Let's get shuffling. I'm going to do an 8-card spread. Oh my gosh, wow, it's like, it's very intense, just like the retrograde. So that just fell into my drawer, which is the 7 of Cups. Okay, so got 7 of Cups, 9 of Swords, Ten of Cups, Four of Pentacles, Three of Swords, Page of Pentacles. It's almost like I'm getting this message of damage limitation. Do not be scared of that, because this is going to give you messages on how to deal with certain things during the retrograde, which you can actually avoid. All right, so if anything, this is going to allow you to manifest goodness through the retrograde and things that you want to go right during the retrograde as well. Now I'm just going to shuffle the other two cards, see if they're going to come out. I hope they do, because that would be, you know, obviously really great. There we go. Let's put the deck over there. So we've got here the Ten of Swords and the Knight of Wands. See what this is? This is about progression, and it's about really just being able to get to where you want to go. Now, what I'm seeing specifically for you in 2020 is that the retrograde may feel very heavy, right? But at the same time, it can be equally as rewarding. There are certain things I feel are quite important for you to follow through a retrograde. The first thing is not getting too overwhelmed. I know this feels like, really, Moonlight, is that what you're going to tell us? Not to get overwhelmed during a Mercury retrograde? Trust me, I know it's so much easier said than done. I have dealt with so many issues during retrogrades, it's actually unreal, and documented the process on my YouTube channel. If you're a long-time viewer, you know what I mean. I've dealt with so many issues with my channel and equipment, you know, like my, laptop and editing software, Wi-Fi, just not working, just basically everything, right? And it's been a challenge. It genuinely has been a huge challenge. But what I would say is that it's about not getting too overwhelmed by things that you can't control, all right? There are things that you can control in the retrograde, and that's what we want to focus on. So if you find that your phone just doesn't work one day, or the Wi-Fi doesn't work one day, try not to get too overwhelmed by it. Just know that you're in a retrograde and know that this too shall pass, all right? So I just want to mention that a lot of people are going to be dealing with the retrograde. A lot of people are going to feel very overwhelmed. So you know, that's just, it's part of the energy, to be honest. So this Nine of Swords shows you feeling very overwhelmed, feeling extremely stressed, but the Ten of Swords also shows that, you know, this stress and this cycle will be closed out, so you can have a way with dealing with it. What I also see here with the Seven of Cups is that the retrograde is really going to push you to find sort of creative ways to do things. It's also going to allow you to think of new ideas. The retrograde is actually going to spark a lot of creativity within yourself. See, I told you, it's not all bad, right? So this is about you communicating your vision across to other people, whether that is, you know, family, friends, or even your work environment, okay? Those of you that are in education, this is about, you know, really communicating that across. This will also take your mind off of things that perhaps, you know, are just not going your way. For example, you know, technology just being absolutely terrible, or perhaps this can also be, you know, travel disruptions and things like that. So the things that you can control are really going to make you flourish, and the things that you can't control, try not to let it get you down. All right, so that's a big message that I'm seeing for you, group number one. The Three of Swords here is also showcasing that it will get you down if you let it get you down. All right, so the Three of Swords here is showing that yes, you can feel extremely sad or upset if you let it get to you. But what I'm seeing is that, you know, there is this sort of mindset that I feel that you will have, where you'll think to yourself, okay, it's not as bad as it could be. So that's what I'm seeing here, because I'm also seeing, you know, that there can be just, it's mainly to do with technology. That's what I'm seeing, you know, technology and things just not working properly, or, you know, just getting really frustrated with essentially, you know, things breaking and things like that. So that's what I'm seeing here. So the Four of Pentacles is just sort of keeping your cool and surrounding yourself in your own like best energy. Ten of Cups here shows good communication with other people, although it does also showcase as well, because we've got some air sign energy here as well, is that if you're feeling frustrated, you might sort of vent your frustration out onto someone else or something, and that can also make you feel more frustrated. So again, you know, think about things perhaps before you say them or before you message them, because you may just regret those things later on. But it's just something that's coming through. I mean, we all go through that, to be honest, right? So that is something that's coming through. And then the Knight of Wands here shows creativity. So that's definitely something I'm seeing, is that, if anything, the Mercury retrogrades in 2020 are going to give you a real creative boost. They are going to make you think about your dreams. They're going to make you think about things that you want to do, places that you want to visit. Like, you're going to get a lot of creativity come towards you. So that is really what I'm seeing. Use your creativity. It can really help you in many ways. And the Ten of Cups, you know, overall, it shows that, you know, the retrograde itself is not going to be terrible unless you let it get you down. Okay, so that's really what I'm seeing here. I do see positive elements, I really do, but it's also about how you deal with them through the retrograde. We all have free will as to what we say and what we do. What I do see is that, you know, if you let these things not get to you too much, and you just say to yourself, I'm in a retrograde, we're going to get through this, and you do get through this, you know, you will feel a lot better than sort of venting perhaps frustrations to someone else, or letting it get you really upset, because, you know, it's normal to get upset, but I definitely feel like you know, once you get out of the retrograde, you'll realize that it really was the energy of the retrograde. So that's what I'm seeing, all right? I'm definitely seeing a lot of creativity. Use your creativity and share it with others. That's what I'm seeing. So these are your retrograde messages, group 1. Now we're going to move on to group number 2. All right, so I'm just going to move this crystal out of the way. And the cards, we are on to group number 2. So group number 2, this is your reading for Mercury retrograde messages for you in 2020. So the whole year, okay? I'm going to give you Mercury retrograde messages that I think you need to essentially hear, and also ways to deal with the retrograde as well. So I'm going to put this beautiful pink crystal right at the bottom. Let's look at these golden messages of information from the Golden Universal deck. This is so interesting. I've already seen this card, especially when it just came down. It's the Seven of Swords. Do not be scared of this. What I am seeing is that during a Mercury retrograde, people can say one thing and mean a completely different thing. If you find this happening to you, which I feel you will at some point, try not to let this get you down. Just know that there's a retrograde, but I'm not excusing this person's behaviour or these people's behaviour that you could be encountering in 2020 in general during the Mercury retrograde. But what I do want to say is that people have a tendency to just be very all over the place during this period of time. Okay, so this is about not perhaps taking it to heart too much, but also just noting that, you know, people's energies can be crazy. So it's not just going to affect you, the Mercury retrogrades, it's going to affect, you know, everyone, people around us, right? So that can also in turn affect you, like how other people feel, the things that they say, and then if they change their mind, it can really affect you. Try not to let this really upset you, that's what I would say, because I do see that, you know, if someone here is saying one thing, doing another, eventually, you know, they will snap out of that routine, and they will be much kinder and much gentler, because they will realize, you know, what they're doing. So it's just something I want to mention, because that can upset some of you here and there, but I do want to mention that that is a cycle that will break. Now, the Chariot here is showcasing travel. Okay, so for those of you that perhaps take a trip, now this does not have to be international travel, it can be local travel, or it could be both. This is really showcasing, like, even if you get on a train, or you get in your car, or you're on a bike, or any kind of travel, right? Even walking. This is just telling you to be a little bit cautious, because the Mercury retrograde can cause havoc in travel. Just be mindful of, you know, things. For example, check before you travel if you're flying, or if you are catching a train, just, you know, check or try and, you know, see if there is any disruptions and things like that, essentially, you know, stuff like that. So that is what I am seeing. Now, I know I mentioned walking as well. This is just being quite mindful of things like perhaps not, you know, texting whilst you're walking and things like that. I just have to sort of say that, because I have a feeling, you know, that that's obviously just not a great thing. I mean, there are so many cases where people are like on their phones and they're crossing roads, and I'm like, whoa, not saying that that's you, but you know, I'm just like, whoa, like how do you do that? Like when they have their heads literally down on the phones and they're not even looking up, right? That's just insane. Anyways, so yeah, just, you know, just be mindful. Just be mindful of these kinds of things, because they can, you know, if you check, you can in many ways avoid it. Now, obviously, there are some instances where you can check and then you still may not avoid the whole situation, in which case, you know, it is a lesson. It is just something we're supposed to go through. Try not to let it get you down. It's, you know, it's just the way the universe works. We can't always have things the way we want to, but sometimes, you know, by checking things, we can avoid things. So the Two of Pentacles here is showing your energy. It's also really about balancing the energy as well. I forgot to mention we are doing an 8-card spread for this particular reading. Look at this, balance, right? So the Two of Pentacles here is showing, you know, controlling those emotions, controlling, you know, trying to just really hold on to that balance element, you know, and knowing that things will be okay. The Four of Wands also shows that during a Mercury retrograde, you may get people from the past contacting you. Now, that could be friends, it could be family members, it could even be exes. I'm just letting you guys know that it is very common during a retrograde that people from the past can totally come back around. Now, how you deal with that is completely your choice. You have free will as to whether you want to entertain those people or not, but I'm just letting you know that that is a very common thing that happens, especially, you know, in twin flame connections or past life connections, not just between lovers, but also, you know, friends and family members who have had past life connections. So I just want to let you guys know that it is very, very common. In general, even if you haven't got, you know, a spiritual connection to somebody, it's extremely common that people just sort of bounce back around. So I want to mention that to you guys. It's very important, but it's your choice essentially as to how you deal with that, right? I can't really tell you whether you should or shouldn't entertain that person, because obviously this is sort of more of a general reading, and it's your choice, right? You are going to make the best judgment. I know you are. The best decision that you can make at that very point in time for yourself. Okay, we got a lot of cards. I'm going to take this one. I'm not going to take these ones. Okay, so I'm going to shuffle for one more card, see what comes through. It's the Fool. This is quite spontaneous, right? So spontaneous stuff and the retrograde don't really tend to get along very well. I will just be very honest about that. So, you know, sometimes this can be recklessness. It can be sometimes just, you know, doing things out of the ordinary. I will say, if you're doing something quite spontaneous, it's okay, you can do it, but sort of just, you know, be a little bit aware that you're in a retrograde, and, you know, it will be okay. But what I am seeing specifically is that the Fool card is ruled by Uranus, right? It's a pretty rebellious sort of planet, so there may be things that perhaps you regret in terms of spontaneous things that you do. This really does depend, you know, it could be you wanting to go to a party one night, or you wanting to spontaneously text a person from your past, or just a random person, you know, you may then actually regret it. So even though, you know, you feel quite spontaneous towards it because of the Mercury retrograde, eventually you might actually regret what you have written and what you have sent. So that's just something that's also coming through here. Okay, there are some regrets here in regards to that. Six of Wands is about travel again, so that's coming through here. Just be mindful when you travel. It's all I'm going to say, right? And then we've got the Ace of Pentacles. So again, people coming back from your past and wanting some kind of communication with you. Some of you, this can actually be like love offers during Mercury retrograde, which is kind of insane. Not for all of you, but for definitely some of you as well. We have many retrogrades in 2020 to enjoy, and of course many Mercury retrogrades in that matter of fact as well. So this is really what I'm seeing as well, how to deal with the retrograde. Essentially it really is about just knowing that, you know, the retrograde, it comes and it goes. We will deal with it. We will get better at dealing with it as time goes by, and we have also dealt with it many times in our life as well. So we will get through this one as well, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. So this here is really showcasing, just be mindful and aware of what's going on, spontaneous sort of messages and going out places. Just be aware that, just take a little bit of time to think about things before, you do them, just so that, you are aware that there is an element of sort of regretting certain things, and you will be fine. All right, so that's what I'm seeing here for you, group number 2. Now I'm going to move on to group number 3. So I'm just going to take away this crystal. All right. Let's do this. Group number 3, this is your reading with me. That did not even rhyme, did it? No. Okay, so this is your reading. We're going to do an 8-card spread for Mercury retrograde messages for you in 2020. So we have many Mercury retrogrades throughout the course of this year, and we're going to have a look and see what messages are coming through for you, certain things to avoid, etc, etc. So let's have a look. I'm going to put this beautiful blue crystal right at the bottom here. We're going to take the After Tarot deck, and I am going to shuffle it. So as I mentioned, 8-card spread. Okay. All right. 2, 4, 6, 7. Yeah, I need one more. There we go. All right, let's begin. So we have here this card, which is the 5, right? That's crazy. 7. I was going to say, this particular deck, this card really does look like the 5 of Wands. And I was looking at the Roman numerals and I was like, wait a second, that's definitely not, that is definitely not a 5. Because I don't know if you guys are aware, actually, should I find an example in this other deck that we have right here? It's kind of weird and kind of interesting how they've done the illustrations. This is the 5 of Wands, right? And this is actually the 7 of Wands. They sort of look quite similar, right? But this is a 7, and the 7 of Wands is about sort of obstacles and challenges and things like that. But it just looks so much like the 5, just in general. So anyway, so the 7 of Wands here, right, is really showcasing that the retrograde can be, it can have challenges, obstacles, hiccups, and things like that. But it's nothing that you can't get through. And I think that this is really, really important to note, is that, with retrogrades, we will get through them. We have got through them. We have been through many in our lives, and we are here. We are here. So the 7 of Wands is actually all about not giving up. The guides want you to know not to give up. Do not give up. You will get through it. You will be able to fight through obstacles, challenges, and things like that. So the 7 of Wands here is showing, by not giving up, you actually get yourself to such a stronger place as well. Mercury retrograde can cause lots of chaos in travel, technology, and communication. So what I am seeing as well, and especially within communication with others, is that, someone might say something that just might make you feel a little bit upset. What I would suggest and state is that I really feel that the energies of the retrograde really affect a lot of people, and they just might not be thinking straight. They might be extremely stressed out and things like that, as we can also be during a retrograde. Try not to let it get too much to your heart. I know it can be really disheartening, but trust me, they don't mean it. Because what I do see is that they will apologize. So if someone says something to you that, just really kind of upsets you and doesn't make you feel good, just know that they have not really meant it. It's the energy of the retrograde, and this person will then come and apologize to you. So that's something I want to mention, because the Page of Cups here is an apology, and it's to do with something that they have themselves created and manifested, which is them creating and manifesting, words of hurt or jealousy and things like that, right? So that's what I'm seeing with the Page of Cups. Now we also have the 6 of Swords, and the 6 of Swords actually came out with the 7 of Wands. So what I do want to mention here, right, it's just a really strong energy, honestly. it's basically, right, the Six of Swords is about emotionally getting yourself to a better place. This energy, right, is just really, really, truly, it's all about being able to navigate through retrogrades without feeling too much pressure in regards to them. Now, I do have a calendar here with all of the other retrogrades that we have, and I'm just gonna let you know. Okay, so in May, we do have quite a few retrogrades, okay? Try not to let that get to you. So, for example, I need to turn my brightness up. I am so sorry, you guys. Here is what we are dealing with. March, April, May. So May 11th we have a Saturn retrograde. May 13th we have Venus retrograde. May 14th Jupiter retrograde. They sort of all happen one after the other. So we do have a lot of retrogrades coming through. And, regardless of when you're watching this in 2020, those retrogrades, specifically the ones that are much further away, they last a lot of days, a lot of days. And what I am seeing specifically, especially with the Mercury retrograde, is because it just sort of comes in for a month and then it goes, and then 3 months later it comes in again and it goes. What you will find specifically is that you've got all of these energies that are just sort of interacting and doing a bunch of stuff, right? So this really is about being able to navigate through these obstacles and challenges by not giving up, by emotionally getting yourself to a better place. Practicing things like meditation can really help you as well. So I just want to let you know that, it's not just the Mercury retrograde, we do have other things, but try not to let that upset you or anything like that. A lot of the times retrogrades teach us some amazing lessons. These lessons make us stronger, and in many ways, the retrogrades can also do some amazing things, like it can bring us contact with people that perhaps we lost contact with. It can bring us ideas. It can allow us to manifest our future. It can allow our hard work to be seen. So the retrograde actually does have some really great qualities to it, right? But also by avoiding some of these things that I talked about, where you can avoid the hurt of perhaps thinking someone has been really mean to you, and just taking it as a they are stressed out and they are just dealing with retrograde and they are dealing with their own issues. If you take it like that, it can actually just really boost you. So it can actually have an opposite effect. Okay, so the 8 of Pentacles is about your hard work. The 9 of Cups is about cups plural, is really about your dreams and your wishes and things really fulfilling and coming true for you. So this is about you realizing your dreams. Use the retrograde as like this catalyst to envision your dreams, to feel what it is that you want to feel in regards to what it is that you also want to do. Look at that, 6 of Cups. This is about, your dream. What is it that you want to do? I feel that during a retrograde you will be faced with a lot of things. Like you might think to yourself, okay, I'm not really good at this, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at that. Do not take that as your weaknesses. Use your weaknesses as your strengths. If at any point you are faced with your weaknesses, find a way to manifest them into your strengths. And if you can see your strengths, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. That's always a really good thing. It really is about, using it towards your dreams and your passions. And, that's the thing about the retrograde, is that it can make us literally see everything in front of us, and then we have to decide what we want to do with it. And it's about not giving up, knowing that you can get through those challenges and those hurdles, and that you can manifest what you want with it. Law of attraction is very powerful. As I mentioned, meditation as well, very powerful for grounding those energies, but also law of attraction to manifest what it is that you want during a retrograde. A lot of people during a retrograde are too busy worrying about a lot of things that are happening around them. What you can do is that if you are worrying about certain things, use the law of attraction to sort of make your worries go away, to remove those obstacles and those challenges. That's how you can use the law of attraction. I think that's really, really powerful as well, because remember, Mercury is the planet of communication. When you're using the law of attraction, you're communicating what you want to the universe, right? Even though some would probably argue with me, yeah, but then Mercury's in retrograde and it's moving backwards, so how's it going to listen to me? Listen, the universe is always listening. Always, regardless of what is happening. So 3 of Pentacles, right? This is about harmony and balance. I definitely see that coming your way. Okay, so try not to worry too much. Know that, you will get through this. Threes in tarot are about lessons. So as I mentioned, you will learn a lot of things here that will make you stronger, that will make you feel much more aware of your situation and what's going on. You will feel better. And the Knight of Cups here is also about potentially people from your past sort of coming back into your life. This can be in regards to love, but it can also be friendships. It can also be family members that perhaps, you may have had a really strong bond with in the past, that are suddenly coming back around with. It's very, very common and very, very well known that can happen. So I am seeing that with the Knight of Cups, okay? And this is also about emotional apologies from people that perhaps have said things to you, but not necessarily like meant it in a harsh way. So that's also about apologies as well. So that's what we're seeing here. But I'm definitely seeing some recognition, right, in regards to sort of career and perhaps, even any kind of sort of work that you may do. Okay, so I'm definitely seeing that as well. So use this retrograde to your sort of strengths is what I would say, and use your weaknesses and turn them into strengths, because you absolutely can. So group number 3, these are Mercury retrograde messages for you. If this resonates with you, let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Definitely do check out the description box below for more information on private paid readings, free reading giveaway, and my bracelets, which are on Etsy. I hope you have a lovely day or night wherever you are, whenever you're watching this, and do take care. Bye. Oops. Bye everyone.